or you can plant weed. Tonight, I am joined on the couch with mental health expert, lawyer, judge, mother, life coach, minister. She a little bit of everything, LaDonna Harlan. And we are going to talk about how to plant positive thoughts that will help you create the life that you love. LaDonna.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. So I am so appreciative of you joining us tonight. More importantly, I'm appreciative of you coming back because, last week we tried to do this, but life did what it did, and Zoom was not allowing us to be great. And, it's so interesting, and we were talking about this. One of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight is how your environment impacts the way that you think, the way that you see, the way that you grow. And on last week, when Zoom was doing everything that it was doing, I was freaking out. Had just a little bit of anxiety. It wasn't bad.
Not too bad.
It wasn't bad. But you, along with everybody on set, were so calm, and your attitude was so positive and so encouraging that it changed the way that I responded. And so, thoughts, environment, attitude is very important with changing the temperature of a room. Indeed. and changing you. And I was thinking about that if any of y'all had jumped onto the internal battle, the internal thing that I had going on last week, I probably would have spiraled a little bit more.
A little bit. That's okay though.
But I thank you for joining us tonight. I thank you for traveling this way. I thank everybody for tuning in on tonight, because we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun.
I can do fun.
You can do fun.
I can do fun.
You ready to do some fun?
A little bit, yeah.
So before we get started, why don't you? I know I briefly introduced you a little bit, but why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about you and what it is that you're doing down at the Dallas County Courthouse?
Okay, so I am a judge in Dallas County. I am a judge in STAT court. STAT stands for Successful Treatment of Addiction Through Collaboration. And our court is an aftercare treatment program for those who have gone to inpatient treatment at JTC for 6 months. So they come to us for aftercare. I tell them they're getting a reset in life because that's what I feel. Even though they're still on probation, even though they have probation requirements, they have treatment requirements. Our program is a 12 to 18-month program. For me, it's them getting an opportunity to reset their life. They're going to live their life on their own terms. They just have us to support them. And that's how I want them to see it, that they have us to support them. Court is fun sometimes, court is not fun sometimes, but most important, we want to give them a holistic approach of life, because they're not just probationers, they're not just, defendants in court. These are people that they struggled a little bit, and it is just a struggle, and sometimes you just need a person that cares, a person that will give you the opportunity to reset, and that's what we do.
Whoa. And so how long have you been doing this?
That court judge about 4 years, I think.
And you have a real passion, because I know that you're also just and I know you hate to do all the accolades and stuff, but I do want to let everybody know how, because my girl is pretty awesome. You are going to school. You're back in school. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm getting a double master's, one in clinical psychology and the other in divinity. I'm almost done with the clinical psychology. I think I have 2 more semesters. Thank you, God. 2 more semesters for that. And with that, it will allow me to do assessments on people to determine what mental health challenges they may have. I'll also be able to do counseling. I'll be able to do a myriad of things with that.
Okay. And you're also a life coach.
I am a master life coach.
She's a master life coach. Okay. And you're just doing, and a mother of how many?
6.
Of 6 children, a wife, a full-time judge, full-time student. You're doing it all. And you took the time to come and join us tonight.
Yeah, hang out with my girl.
I know it. Give me some. So tonight we are talking about how to positive thoughts, positive thinking, planting positive seeds. And you are someone who is, as long as I've ever known you, all you do is talk about positivity. And so, and we're going to be talking about some of the things and some of the tools that you use in court with you call them clients.
I do.
You call them clients. Why do you call them clients?
Because I think words matter, right? When they go to treatment, they call them clients. When you go get your hair done, they call you a client, right? I think words actually matter. So Ethan always says, "You change your language, change your life." So I think once you allow them to hear something other than defendant, it starts to allow them to see that this is just not my total story. This is not my life. Like, I am a client. I'm a client in treatment. Treatment is going to give me the tools that I need to have a better life. I'm a client in in court because the judge sees me different. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and all he cared about is what I was thinking about him. Like, why do you even care? But I think it matters, because if they understand that I see them different, then they can begin to see themselves differently.
Okay. And you know what, you're going to lead me right on into, because as we've been talking about how to overcome negative thoughts, one of the tools that we have been teaching on in all of our guests for the last few weeks, and I know everybody who's been watching is probably tired of hearing about it, but one of the tools to help you change your thoughts and move from negative thoughts to positive thoughts is the way that you talk to yourself, that self-talk. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what self-talk is?
So self-talk is the conversations that you're having with yourself, right? You're always, whether people tell you all the time, don't talk to yourself. You are always talking to yourself.
And whatever, I answer myself.
And yeah, and it's good, but whatever pops in your head, that's what you're going to say. So it's no different than when we're in court and I have them do the quote of the day, right? I have them stand up and say, I am, whatever it is, I'm a king, I'm a queen, I'm a warrior, I'm a conqueror, because I need you to tell yourself who you are. And if you don't feel like that today, say it enough, you eventually feel that way. So self-talk is the conversations that you're having with yourself, whether they're positive, negative, or instructional. You're always having a conversation with yourself.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's talk about negative thoughts just briefly as we travel into positive thoughts. What are negative thoughts?
So negative thoughts are those thoughts that don't serve you, right? Those are the thoughts that are not adding value to your life. They are actually subtracting from you. It's no different than people always say, "Oh, I'm so stupid," right? Because you've heard that. Yeah. You know, I'm so stupid. Oh, dang, that was dumb. Like, well, how did I do that? Like, what's wrong with me, right? Those are thoughts that are not serving you. And we often do that because maybe we make a mistake, or it could be things that you've been told since you were a child, whatever the case is. But if it's not serving you, elevating you at some level, those are negative thoughts.
So, and you gave me some examples of some negative thoughts. What are our thoughts, our emotions, and our behaviors linked together? Do they all do they link?
They're interconnected. So your thoughts are going to trigger your emotions, and your emotions going to drive your behavior. So you often thinking, why did I do that? Right? It started with a thought. That thought gave you some emotion about whatever, right? And that is going to drive your behavior. No different than, you know, and a lot of times our thoughts are not even correct. We're just thinking, right? And so that thought drove whatever emotion it was, whether it was positive, whether it was negative, it drove that emotion, and that emotion is going to drive that behavior.
Do you think, and I often wonder this, do you think that people are born thinking negative?
No. Well, no, I don't. Born, like baby born,
thinking negative?
I think it's learned behavior, right? You have to think, even in the womb though, you're talking to your child, right? You may be playing music to your child. I remember when I was pregnant with Eden, T.I. would come on the radio and she would just be jumping in my belly so she could hear it, right? And so we have to be cognizant when we are pregnant. Your baby hears everything. Do I think they come out thinking negative? No, they thinking they're hungry, they want to be nurtured, things of that nature. But because we're not conscious of what we're saying all the time, it's learned
behavior.
It's learned behavior. It's learned thoughts. And it really comes from us not just being intentional about what we're saying, what we're thinking, and we're just talking, right? You have to think about it. A lot of times you may find yourself, where did I get that thought?
Yeah.
Right. But it's because somebody else was just talking and they've planted that seed inside of you. So we have to be intentional about what we reject and what we keep. And babies don't know. They say, oh no, I don't want to think that. I don't want to feel that. And so yeah, I think it's learned behavior and thoughts.
So, okay. Earlier you talked about a quote that you have your clients say every week. Can I ask you what this week's quote is? Or last week's quote, or this week's quote?
I think last week's quote would probably be more appropriate to what we were talking about today. This week I chose Dak Prescott because we are a sports court in my court. We do all sports. And so somebody was talking negatively about the Cowboys, so I chose Dak this week. But I think last week was more appropriate to what we're talking about today. And it was a quote by Kobe Bryant. I had the quote, but it's every negative pressure, challenge is all an opportunity for me to rise, right? And so when I give them the quote, I give them the opportunity to speak about the quote and what they feel about it, but I end the quote with why I chose it. Right?
So why did you choose that quote?
So I chose that particular quote because I want us to understand that even though it's negative, even though it seems like it's not serving us, you still can learn from it. And I want us to become accustomed to asking the question, okay, so yeah, it doesn't feel good. I didn't like it, but what can I glean from it? How can I use this to elevate me in some type of way? We don't have to stay in a negative space always. It may not feel good, but you don't have to build a house in the negativity. Ask yourself, what can I get from it? How can I use it? How can I grow from it, with it? Whatever, just so you can take whatever it is that you're experiencing and allow it to serve you. You get the choice. You get to choose how whatever it is you're experiencing is going to serve you. It's your choice.
Okay, I like that. So, and that's what I want to talk about just a little bit. Some strategies in addition to the quote of the day. Some of the strategies that you use with your clients to help them change their thoughts and have their behavior have less of an impact on their actions.
So, as I said before, we do the positive affirmation. I don't allow them just to stay. So they have addictions, right?
Okay.
That's why they're in my court. They have addictions, right? So I don't allow them to just utilize that to identify themselves. They have to identify themselves some other way. The other thing about it is I pay attention to every single client. Like I know everything I know when you change your hair. I know how you sit in your seat, what that means. So I pay attention to every single thing. So if you're off, you're going to know I know that you're off.
Okay.
And so I think that's important that we learn to pay attention to the people around us.
Yes.
Right. Just because they say that they're okay, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily okay. And we have to become accustomed to learning behavior, learning pattern of speech, learning how they shift their head. Just any little thing. Some clients I could tell by their hair if they're off.
How?
Because I know them. It's my business to know them. And I think I love them. And so I think people that you love, you learn. So when you take the time to learn them, when they're off, they may tell you that they're okay. But because you've taken the time to love them and to learn them, you know that they're really not. So you can give them the attention that they need.
So I have two questions that I want to ask you. But the first one I want to go back to is they're in court and so you don't let them just come in and identify with their addiction. They have to give you a positive affirmation about themselves. So that's one tool to help you replace the negative thoughts. What is another tool that you use consistently with your clients to help them shift their behavior?
I engage them in conversation, right?
Okay.
So I may say something simple, tell me about your weekend, right? And they'll say, I went swimming, and they'll tell me some experience, and it could have been negative, but I take the opportunity to retrain the conversation, retrain their words.
Reframe it.
So, yeah. And so to reframe it. So I don't allow them, that's another thing. I don't allow them to sit on what could have been a negative thought or what could have been negative words. So I teach them how to change their language.
Okay.
Right. So if they say, "Oh my God, Judge, I can't get a job. I'm a felon. I'm this, I'm that." No, you're not. Those are things that happen to you, but you're so much more than that.
Yes.
And it's, I can't get a job. The opportunity hasn't presented itself for me to have that job now, but it's coming.
Okay.
So we have to change. Yeah, we have to, and I teach them about manifestation. So we talk about manifestation all the time. So when I tell them, okay, so what were you thinking about before this happened and this happened and this happened? And I show them this is how you manifest that. So we're gonna have to change our thoughts about that so you can manifest something. Just as sure as you manifest that, you can manifest something else.
Yes.
Right. So yeah.
So let me ask you this, and this is a question related to you personally. With so many people coming in and out, and addiction is real in all forms. Have you ever had someone go through the program and fall back into the addictive process?
It's happening to me right now.
How does that make you feel? And two, how do you continue to maintain a positive outlook when things like that happen? How do you keep your positivity?
So initially when I first started, I took it personal, right?
Okay.
I took it real personal. Cause I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, we went through this. Like, why are we back here? But the 4 agreements, I love the 4 agreements.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
The 4 agreements tell us don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Right? And I had to learn that it's really not about me. It really is about them. And just like when they're in the program and I send them off the treatment and they're pissed off at me because, oh, can I say that? They're mad at me because I send them off the treatment. I have to explain to them, yeah, you may, because one guy told me this just yesterday. I wasn't using. I said you was not using. But while you were gone, you learned that you needed this because you moved to a point that you did use, right? I said, so you may not have been using it at the time, but there came a point that you was and you realized you needed it. And we don't understand why it's happening, you know, when it's happening, but it comes to a point you understand the lesson. So even though a person right now, I love him to death, he's relapsed, but I'm not giving up on him. So if I have to call him every day, once a week, whatever, till he comes back, because here's the thing about my court, the door always swings open. So I don't care if you've graduated, you're still there, I don't care what it is, my door always swings open, so you can always come talk to me. The one thing about me is, even though you're a client in the court, I still talk to you. I have clients that come and say, Judge, I just need to talk to you about my personal problem, right? And I sit there and I listen and we talk about it. It's no situation or circumstance they can experience that I'm not going to engage them or be willing to engage them, and they know it.
That is absolutely beautiful, because you just don't get that from everybody. And you definitely, you know, me being in the courts, in the legal system, in the legal profession, I see judges, I see lawyers, and people just really don't care like that. And that's one of the reasons why I love when you call your clients as opposed to defendants. You actually see them as people and you treat them not as their addiction or the things that they're doing, but actually see them as God sees them, as, you know what, you are a loving human being, and we all have issues. We all have issues. And, you know, rolling into that, I want to start talking about positive thoughts. We've been talking about some of the effects and some of the things that negativity does us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what positive thoughts are?
So just as negative thoughts are thoughts that don't serve you, positive thoughts are thoughts that do serve you. But they're a little harder to come about because our nature is to think negative.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Our nature really is to think negative. So there are the thoughts that serve you. And I struggle with that. I still struggle with that sometimes.
I do too.
But I have a community that will come and tell me, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Right? It happened to me today. I was really catastrophizing about my grade. I was tripping. But I have a community to say, you're okay. Mm-hmm. You're brilliant. You're whatever. And those are the thoughts that really do serve you. Those are the thoughts that are going to take you to the next level. And we have to build on those thoughts. When clients are, I call it, they're on zero tolerance. And on zero tolerance, they have to have one-on-ones with me.
Oh, I bet you they don't like that at all.
They actually do like it. I have a client that's done with zero tolerance, and he still comes back to see what I'm gonna say this week. So some of them don't like it, but a lot of them actually do like it because we write papers.
You write papers?
Absolutely. They write papers. I give them the topic to write about, and it's something to serve them. So it's whatever I'm listening to them talk. Like everybody doesn't have the same subject, so I'm listening to them talk, and they do papers on whatever I tell them. But it has to be something that serves you, something that elevates you to another level. We should always seek an opportunity to say something to ourselves, say something to someone else to elevate us to another level. I have them do gratitude lists. I've had clients have to write 10 things about themselves that's positive every single day, and you can't repeat.
Oh,
yeah. So by the time they see me, they have 70 things that are great about them that they didn't even think about before, all because I told them that they can't repeat.
And you actually have to be intentional about that, because I remember when God was taking me through this entire process, and all I could think of about myself was such negative thoughts. And he began to, and you remember this because you were part of this process with me. He began to make me create this list, the me that God created. And so it's just a list of all of who God says I am, and then I have my victory list, because sometimes life happens and you can't always see the good in yourself. And so when it's written down, you can go back and you can, okay, you know what? That is me. That is who I am. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to this thing that I've done. We talked a little bit about environment earlier, and you just touched on it a little bit more. And I like the environment that you have set up in your court, because it's not just you. And first of all, for people who do not understand the way that a court system works, it's you. Describe
our court. Our court is no work. We have a multidisciplinary court. So we have probation officers. I think we have a total of 5, because I have 4 courts, and then there's one other court. So we have probation officers, we have counselors, we have community providers like MetroCare, IPS. We have assessors, we have the public defender, the assistant district attorney, we have the court coordinator. So it's so many people on the team, and the thing is, the client presents to each person differently. So it's really important, because some things that they may tell the court coordinator, they may not tell me, they may not tell the public defender, they may not tell their probation officer. So we all know a little bit about the client, and when we all come together, we can make the best decision, because we all have a piece.
And you're getting exactly to where I want to talk about how important is your environment, and I want to talk about this as far as your clients are concerned, but also as far as just helping people generally plant these positive thoughts, how important your environment is when you are when you're trying to maintain a positive, when you're planting positive thoughts, being positive, how important the environment that you have put together for your clients, and just your environment outside of that, your home environment, your friends, and different things like that.
So environment is extremely important. And if we were all honest with ourselves, we all know who we can call to go to the pity party with us. We all know it, right?
And you know you can't call me.
Right. And we know the people we can call that will help build us up and move us to the other level, right? We all know those people. So we all understand environment. It's us choosing which environment we want to be in. That's the issue. Because we all know, if I call such and such is going to gossip for however long they're going to gossip, we're going to talk about everybody, and it's going to be a whole problem, right? If I call X, Y, and Z, they're going to be sad with me. They're going to tell me how I shouldn't feel, Like, we all know it. The issue is, are we going to make the choice to want to grow, to want to elevate? We all understand environment, if we were really honest. The truth, do we understand that every time we make a choice, we have to make the choice that's going to move us to the next level?
Yes.
You have to decide where you want to go. You have to decide how you want to feel, etc. I'm at the point in my life, I want peace. I want happiness. I want to be around good people. I want to grow. So if people are not my environment, people are not serving me, I'm just not going there. And it's okay. But everybody understands environment. They just have to understand, I have to choose, how I want to feel.
So, I mean, but that's easy. That's easier said than done. When you are in an environment and you're with people like family members, people that you live in the house with, you can't get away from those. How do you how do you cultivate
You can't get away from
you can't get away from certain family members if you were trying to be positive and your husband negative or your wife is negative, or how do you cultivate a positive environment when you are that close living right in with people like that?
You set boundaries. The one thing that you have that's most important for you is you have a voice. The same thing I tell my clients, you have a voice, I want you to use it. Please use it. Even if you're in court, you may be dead wrong, but I want you to become accustomed to using your voice. Your voice will say, you know what? I don't like that conversation. I don't like the way this is going. I think you and I need some space. And you move, they move, and we go. My kids laugh at me. They could literally be sitting right next to me talking. I don't hear them.
My mama used to do that to us all the time.
I don't hear them at all. I've learned to block because I have to protect my peace. And when you understand how important your peace is, you understand how your mental health can be affected by whatever is going on, and you're intentional about protecting that. You will learn to set boundaries. You will learn to block. You will learn to walk away. I have no problem getting up, getting in my car, and bouncing because I need to protect my peace. I'm okay with it.
Okay. And a lot of people may think that that's a little harsh and a little cruel, but one of the things about you, and you talked about it earlier, is you live intentional. You are so intentional with your actions. You're intentional with your life. And let's talk just briefly, as because we're about to transition. I'm just to open it up to the audience so that they can. I know we've been sitting up there talking. Wow. How important is intentionality in changing your environment?
So here's the deal. You're either going to be intentional about your life or somebody's going to be intentional about your life. It's which one do you want to control? Because trust me, there's somebody thinking about you in your life and what they want from you, what they want to get from you, and they've set intentions. It may not always be negative. It could be positive, but they've set intentions. So you have to understand, either you're going to set your own intentions and allow your life to flow a certain way according to you, and you choose how you allow other people's intentions to interact with yours, or you cannot be intentional and find your way flowing in a direction other people want you to go. So you have to decide, am I going to be intentional about my life and moving in a direction I want it to go, or am I going to allow myself to be controlled by other people's intentions? There's always intentions on the table. You have to decide which intentions you're going to choose, theirs or yours.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Let me ask you this as we get ready to wrap up, and I want you guys to. I know it goes fast. It goes real fast, but we're not finished. I want you to start dropping your questions into the chat as we get ready to wrap up. I'm going to turn it over to you so you can ask some questions. But let me ask you this: for somebody right now who is watching this or will watch this, and they have realized they've come into this state of awareness, because that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make people aware of what they're thinking and how they're thinking so that we can move forward. What would be step one that you would tell them, something that you would tell them to do to start setting their intentions to move from negative thoughts to positive thoughts? What's something that you would, where would you tell them to start?
I would tell them to start with deciding who they want to be. Right?
That's good.
Every day we're showing up.
Yeah.
But you have to decide who you want to show up as. Right? Who do you want to be? And when you don't make that decision, you're going to go in every direction, and you'll find yourself doing some of the things. You're like, how the heck did I get there? Why am I doing this? It's because you haven't decided who you want to be. I want to be positive. I want to have joy. I want to have peace. I want to finish school. I want to do so many things. You decide who you want to be. When you decide who you want to be, there's just certain things that will happen, and you say, you know what, that's not aligning with who I am. That's not aligning with where I want to go. And you'll see it coming a mile away and say, yeah, I'm not going to have that conversation because that's not aligning with who I said that I am.
Yeah.
And so once you decide who you want to be, then you can start setting little goals to help yourself elevate and grow and move in the direction you want to move in. But first, you have to decide, who am I?
And where do I want to go?
What morals, ethics, and goals, and what's my character like?
Yes.
Because some of us are just a sum total of everybody else's conversations of who they said we were, and we're living out somebody else's
thoughts somebody else's
beliefs,
life, somebody. Yes.
Yeah, I think I did a couch chronicle one time because 3 a.m. came around. I was like, oh my gosh, at 3 a.m. something must have happened, because I was conditioned that by how I grew up, right? And so I had to retrain my brain. When I wake up at 3 a.m., I'm finna get up and pray. I may get up and do some homework, but what I'm not gonna do is associate it with something negative, because I'm gonna start manifesting that negative thing. So you have to just make some decisions for yourself. Who am I? And then you can start manifesting those things.
Oh, that's good. And you just completely really brought home the first pillar of Next Level, which is awareness. We talk about awareness, and how to become aware is asking yourself that exact question. Where do I want to go? Who am I? And where do I want to go? Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to get ready to open it up to our audience so that you all can, I want y'all to ask her as many questions as your heart's desire. Okay. And so we are going to open it up to you guys in just a moment. We'll be right back.
I created Next Level to help women ready to cross that bridge, get a vision of themselves, and take action to be who they know they want to be. What we do is we equip women with the tools they need to navigate their journey. You'll hear from and engage with others that have successfully managed challenging situations. You will get help from people who are willing to help you turn your dream into reality. So you are never alone. Can you imagine getting support from women that you look up to? You can look back and realize that you went from a chaotic state of existing to a balanced life worth living. You are Next Level.
Welcome back to Next Level Conversations. I have been joined tonight with mental health expert, STAC judge, life coach, LaDonna Harlan, who has been talking with us about how to change our negative thoughts into positive thoughts. She has been amazing. This has been one of my favorite conversations, and I am so excited. We're going to turn it over and start taking some of your questions. All right. Okay, so our first question, make sure you just drop your questions in the chat, and we will make sure that we get them. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can on tonight. Hold on, wait a minute. I had the question. Okay, okay. Here it is. Have you ever had a client that wanted to take their own life based off of relapsing and feeling like a failure? If so, what loving advice did you pour into them to bring their spirits back to life?
So that happened this week. Interesting that you would ask this question. So the client, I don't know how they end up emailing me, because you don't just email the judge.
Okay.
So the client emailed me, said that they felt like a failure, blah, 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 blah. And I immediately stopped what I was doing and said, hey, this is happening. Y'all need to call her. Let's figure this out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Come to find out, she just was having struggles. I'm trying not to tell everybody this.
Yeah.
Just struggles with whether the sanction would prevent her from having the housing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I had another client in court saying, I don't feel like living. I don't feel like being here. I stopped court like that, because court is not important. When somebody says something like that, I just stop what I'm doing and I go to them. And I made sure that she came and see me every week. And I poured into her. I told her how beautiful she was, how smart she was, how she had so many things going on. And we started looking past what her fears were, all the negative things she was saying. And for every negative thing she said, okay, and I said, let's reframe that. So we reframed the conversation. But you got to tell me something positive. What else are you doing? Tell me something that you want to do. Tell me your goals. Tell me your talents, right? So sometimes we have to show people that you're amazing.
Yeah, and there's more to you.
Right. And because sometimes it's really hard to see. So I don't care if you have to come see me every day, once a week, whatever it is. I'm going to give that back to you because you deserve it. Because sometimes it is hard to see. When you've struggled all your life with addiction, all you see is that I failed my kids. I failed my family. I'm not where, we say it, I'm just not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
You are where you're supposed to be because you're still alive. Let's just start there. You still have another opportunity to do whatever it is you wanted to do. To be the person, everybody has the opportunity to create whoever they want to create. That's the beauty about God.
Yeah.
If you just look at God's creation and how beautiful it is, there's so many intricate details to what God did. And all of that exists inside of you. And we just have to allow people to see that. And that's my joy. Like, if I can get you to see how beautiful you are inside, male, female, that's my heart's joy.
You done did your job.
Yes.
I love it. And I want to ask you a million questions off of what you just said, but I want to get to everybody else's questions. Okay, hold on. Have you ever felt yourself slipping into negative thoughts after another class of clients come in? Is it always a battle?
I wouldn't say negative thoughts because my mind is always on fix.
Okay.
My mind is always on fix. Do I get a little frustrated sometimes? Yes, but the frustration is, how can I help them see that? Or how can I'm a fixer. If you give me, you can, don't tell me you want to do something, because if you tell me you want to do it, I'm going to figure out how to make it. So I'm a fixer. Sometimes, I think I've had a few times where I actually have a meditation rug in my office. So if I feel like I'm going to a negative space, I don't care if I'm on my way to staffing, I will stop and meditate. Because I don't want to project my negativity on other people. Now, sometimes when we in staffing and something happened and I may be like, what in the world? And I have to just do a sitting meditation.
Well, you know what? One of the questions I did want to ask you is, how do you keep from taking, you see so much and you are exposed to a lot of different people, a lot of different moods, a lot of different circumstances and situations, and you have to carry and you have to handle a lot of people's business in their lives. It's in your hand. How do you keep from taking that home with you and making that personal and carrying that around? How do you release all the things that you see and you deal with every single day to keep you in a good space?
So the beautiful thing about God is he gave me practice before I became a judge. So I had my own law practice. So initially when I started my law practice, I carried all my clients' stuff. Like I would wake up at 2:00 in the morning because they were going through it. I'm going through it with them, right? And so eventually I had to learn to disassociate myself from the problem and just do what I'm expected to do.
Before you go on, how did you learn to disassociate?
I block well. I'm gonna have to learn how to teach people that. For real, I block well because when you look at the 4 agreements, you talk about don't take it personal, make your words impeccable, like all of those things. I can't fix it I understand I can't fix it if I'm in a negative space.
Yeah.
Because that negative space will produce other negative things. You'll have negative behavior, other negative thoughts. So my whole ideal is if I can stay in a good space, I can fix it. And so my intentions is to always say, I can't take on their burdens because I can't help them. Because if I become them, how can I help them? Because taking on someone else's burdens, you're in essence becoming who they are.
And you can't heal in the same environment. If you have the heart
to help and a heart to love, you can't take on their burdens and become them. because you're going to be subject to what they're subject to.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. That's real good. I got to use that one. I'm glad we recording that because I got a quote from that one. Okay, hold on. What is your strategy? Or well, so you really just answered this because it kind of got in it. But I'm going to ask this question: what is your strategy? What is your go-to strategy when you start to spiral into negativity?
So I call you. I have just certain people that I talk to. But most importantly, I have to sit. Right? I have no problem sitting with myself. And I think more people should become accustomed with sitting with themselves. Because sometimes when you start talking to people, if they're not in the right mindset, you will find yourself in a worse position.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I have become accustomed to just sitting. And I will sit and meditate. I will listen
Open your eyes.
For God's answer. But most importantly, I give myself time. I tell the clients all the time, if you think you're about to do something, give yourself 7 seconds to change your mind. And I want you to count them out. And if you still go and do something you know you're not supposed to be doing, give yourself 7 more seconds. Right? And I do that. Like, I have to give myself time to sit because they teach you in treatment to play the tape all the way through. So as I'm sitting, if I say this, how's this going to affect this person? How's it going to affect me? If I do this, how's it going to tear down what I've built? How's it going to affect my community? So if you sit with yourself long enough, give yourself time to think, give yourself time to actually play the tape all the way through, you will understand that what I was thinking about
really
wasn't that important. But go ahead.
But more than that, you are being intentional about living, about your life and everything that you do, because I think that that's so important. You have to be intentional about how you want to show up, and as you were talking about earlier, the life that you want to live. If I pop off and do what it is that I'm thinking that I want to do, how is this going to play out for what my goals are?
Here's the other thing: like, you're thinking that negative thought, how is it going to serve you? I'm thinking this, how's it going to serve me? And the other thing, is it true?
Yeah.
Most of the negative thoughts we have, they're really not true.
Yes, and we just talked about this. We will make up whole stories.
I've made up entire stories. I've had the conversations. We played it back. And I'm just ready to blow up.
Just making up stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's not true.
wait, what? Where the truth come in at that? Yeah. So it happens. Okay. Here we go. Do you find that some clients continue to mess up and stay with you or your court because you are the only constant in their lives? That is a very good question.
Yeah, that is true. And sometimes I have to tell I have to tell the team, they're messing up on purpose, right?
Wow.
So I remember this client specifically. Like, he would get on zero tolerance. Like, he would get off of zero tolerance. Like, he'd be on zero tolerance 30 days, 60 days, 45 days. And he would get on zero tolerance and intentionally do something else to get back on zero tolerance so he can have the one-on-ones with me. And I finally told him, I said, look, you don't have to be on zero tolerance. Just come talk to me. Just come talk to me. It's okay. But when I do see that, I really go to the client and say, okay, so what is it? Did you not, and were you not hugged? Did somebody not tell you that they love you? Do you not feel like other people in your life believe in you? Like, what is it that you're getting from here that you didn't get before? So we can learn how to recreate, or not recreate, to create that thing that you need in the community that you're going to. Right? Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Whenever you have negative, because they put some questions, hopefully we can get up to all of them. Whenever you have negative thoughts, how would you recommend combating them whenever no one else is around to help?
You have to be intentional. I'm so stupid. In your mind, you're like, I'm so stupid. You before you say what you're thinking,
You gotta arrest
say
it.
it out your mouth. I am brilliant. I'm intelligent. There is no one else like me. God created me so unique. I don't have to worry about competing or comparing to anyone because I'm my own magnificent person.
I really am.
Even if you don't
Thank you.
believe it at the moment, say it enough till it becomes who you are. Because that's really, truly who you are.
Yeah.
Everything you need to be great already exists inside of you. You just have to tap in.
Yes. So you're saying tap into you.
Tap
into your greatness. That's what, you know what? I'm going to be talking about that all week. Tap into your greatness. Tap into your greatness. Okay. What tools do you use to get someone to start? What tools do you use to get someone started on figuring out who they are, to be intentional on self-inspection and self-investing?
So in my court, we write a lot, a lot. And the main question is, I need you to tell me who you are. You don't have to be the greatest poet in the world. I don't need you to write a book. Just put it on paper. Because what happens is sometimes we're saying it to ourselves, and because we don't believe it, it doesn't register, right? But put it on paper. Sometimes I write my prayers out, right? Put it on paper. This is who I am. They read it back to me, but find yourself an accountability partner, read it back to them, or just read it out loud to yourself. And then ask the next question. Okay, I am loving, strong, powerful, or you may say, I suck at this, I hate this, whatever. Once you read it out to yourself, ask yourself the next question. If it's negative, you would say, okay, so how can I take this negative thought and turn it into something positive? What's the opposite of this? And you have to be intentional about what's the opposite of this.
Yes.
Right? Because you may tell yourself all these negative things, but be okay with saying, okay, so what's the opposite of this? Because you are the opposite of that. And you have to learn to believe, I am the opposite. Start every day. Wake up. I am blah, 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 blah. I am grateful for blah, 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 blah. When you put the I am and the I am grateful for together, you will learn to see that your life is just not as bad as you think it is.
It never is.
It really is.
It never, ever is. Okay. How do you react to the motherless and fatherless clients who are struggling in life due to the lack of childhood and adulthood parental lack? Woo! Child, baby.
Repeat it.
How do you react to the motherless and fatherless clients who are struggling in life due to the lack of having parents in their childhood?
So you have to reframe your thoughts, right? I get that we yearn for the mother, the father being in our lives, right? But what if them not being there was the best thing that you needed? What if them being there, they could have been a drunk, they could have been abusive, they could have been sexually abusive, they could have been emotionally and mentally abusive, and you would have suffered through that? What if you had the opportunity, you look at it, I didn't have to suffer through this, and this because they were not there. I get that we want all those things, and all those things are beautiful. However, this is going to sound so insensitive, but I really do mean this. Your 45-year-old you is allowing your 10-year-old you to drive your life. You're not living your best 45-year-old life because you're still 10, and you're allowing the 10-year-old you who didn't understand, who was emotionally scarred, who didn't have the maturity to do whatever, and you're allowing that person to live your life right now, and you're missing out on the best parts of you because you're still allowing that 10-year-old person to rule. We can't fix it, we can't change it, but we can grow from it and be better. And ask God to reveal to you, God, you allowed this to be? What was I supposed to get from this? What was I supposed to glean from this? I could be the most dynamic speaker for motherless and fatherless children and allow myself to be, I could have a 6-figure income telling people how I made it through and I became a greater person even though I didn't have that foundation. I didn't have the foundation I wanted, but God gave me the foundation I needed.
Yes, there you go right there.
Yeah. we gotta get past the 10-year-old allowing the 45-year-old not to live.
And reframing that story. Reframing
It's
that story.
all about reframing.
That's one of
If
our
you change the
tools.
way you think about it, you will change the trajectory of your whole entire life.
That's good. Okay, hold on. All right, y'all. We're at our last question. we're at our last question. Okay. What is the biggest difference you've observed in those who succeed in your court versus those who fail? That is a very good question.
Those who succeed in my court and those who fail. I don't like the word fail.
Okay, she don't like the word fail.
So, because somebody said that today, failure. So the biggest difference I see is people get to see themselves. Some people have never had the opportunity to really see who they are. They've always been subject to somebody else's thoughts about them, how somebody has beat them up for their actions. They've always been subject to somebody misusing, abusing, and taking advantage of them. And now they get to see who they really are. And it's really beautiful to see because they understand that there are no limits to their greatness. They're not their addiction. They're not all the things that they did in the past. They are holistically this beautiful person today, giving back to life, giving back to others, giving back to themselves. They're building on something that they never thought was attainable. And even if we have people in the program, I don't want to say failure, even if we have people in the program that don't make it through, I've had those same people come back to me to say, I didn't graduate, but I got the tools. And look, I had one walk in my court last week. Look what I'm doing now. I'm back in school. I have a fiance. I may not see them graduate, but they got enough while they was there to be able to use it to still elevate their life.
You got me wanting to come over to the court and help and stuff. You get to see the transformation. Tasha calls me a butterfly all the time because of my transformation. And what you just explained, what you just described is that transformation process, that butterfly, that unfolding process. And it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I mean, you're blessed.
Yeah, I love I would not choose anything else to do but stat court. I love it.
Well, there you go. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, we have a few things that we're going to talk about, we're going to do, and different things like that. What is one thing that you would say to someone right now, who is just struggling with in a negative space right now? And I'm not saying it, and they may very well be in their journey of transformation, but the negative thoughts just keep playing at them. What's something that you would say to them to help them create a life that they don't want to take a vacation from?
Be intentional. Understand that you have options and choose you, right? You may have the negative thought. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just replace it. It's one step at a time. It's practice. You didn't learn to be an expert cook overnight. It was practice. You didn't learn to be in this space of negativity overnight. You practiced that thing. Yeah. And I need you to understand you practice that thing. So just as you practice, or just as it was, other people helped you practice, one step at a time. I wake up with the I am. Search for I am. If you're not even sure what your I am, just look up some positive words. Google has everything.
It does.
Look up positive words.
Or ask somebody.
I bet you the people around you don't see you how you see yourself. Because if I called you today and I say something, you say, LaDonna, really? No, that's not true. I bet you the people around you don't see you the way you see you. They actually have a beautiful take about who you are, and they can tell you all the positive things about you that you are missing because you choose, and I'm going to say it, you choose to be in a negative space. You can choose to be in a positive space. It's just one step at a time. It's one affirmation at a time. It's one going outside, see the beauty of God's creation at a time. I told the client today, I want you to go outside before the sun rises just to listen so you can hear the beauty around you. Because sometimes we are afraid of silence, but the silence is the thing that will probably save us some days because we get to hear God speaking of how wonderful you are that you're missing every single day.
Oh, that is beautiful. LaDonna, thank you so very much. This has been absolutely fantastic. Do y'all want her to come back and join us on the couch again? Does anybody drop it in the comments, okay? And let us know. Y'all can't see, we can't see you, but I know you guys have enjoyed this conversation on tonight. For anybody who wants to connect with you, how would they connect with you? First, let's do that.
I am on social media, so you can catch me on social media, Facebook or Instagram, or you can email LaDonnaHarlan@gmail.com. I will respond to you. You can go to my Couch Chronicles. I don't even know why I still name it that, but Couch Chronicles, they're there. You can watch all those videos as well.
And there's so many things that she has going on, and her family has going on. One of the things that we do here at NexLevel is we want to highlight a business every single week. And tonight we actually have the pleasure of highlighting two businesses, and both of which are LaDonna is affiliated with. The first one is Pretty Eden. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about Pretty Eden and how we can get in contact with Pretty Eden? Tell us.
So Pretty Eden is my daughter Eden's business. She started it right before the pandemic. She created the business because the butterfly that you're talking about, she really believes that what she has inside of her can help other people transform themselves in the beauty space. So she started off with lip gloss that she makes herself, and I'm totally addicted to it.
I got it all too.
But she now has body wash, she has soap, she has sugar scrubs, all those things. And you can go to www.prettyeden.com, or you can follow her on Instagram at Pretty Eden and Facebook at Pretty Eden.
All right. And in addition to that, you're also CEO and partner with your husband for Hazazi Man.
Hazazi.
It's okay. Hazazi Man. Tell us a little bit about Hazazi Man.
So Hazazi, like Pretty Eden, all natural grooming products, is specifically targets men. We have literally everything on the line: body wash, lotion, hair growth products, beard kits, pretty much everything you need. Facial cleansing, moisturizer. I can't even say it. Everything you need from head to toe for a man. Women actually use our products too. I use everything on the line. But you can go to www.hazazi-men.com to get those products.
And tonight we have two lucky winners. Tamika Seaton is going to be the winner of one of a gift basket from either Pretty Eden or Hazazi Man. I'm not for sure. And Dr. Juanita Braxton, she's also our winner. So we want to congratulations. We thank you for treating our audience. I want to thank you guys. Thank you all for joining us on tonight. I want to remind you that if you enjoyed this conversation, you can go back and you can check out not just this conversation, but all of our prior conversations on NexLevel Conversations. You can follow us on YouTube. We also have our NexLevel You podcast, which is designed to equip and inspire you to find balance in your chaos. We release a new episode every Wednesday. And if you have not subscribed, please go and subscribe to our YouTube. I also want to remind you to download NexLevel Magazine, where you will also be fed with so much amazing content to help you transform your life. All the tools that LaDonna was talking about on tonight, we share them in different stories. It's just packed with information to help you become the person that you want to be. I want to thank you again, LaDonna, for joining us on tonight. And I want to ask you guys to do one thing as we get ready to go. NexLevel 5 in 1. Go tell 5 people about something that impacted you on tonight. ideas are shared, or they spread because they're shared. And so we want to share. Go share something on tonight. Share with whoever. Just tell somebody about something that you learned. And make sure you join us next week here. And think positive. Think positive. Join us next week here, 7 p.m. Win Women by TV. Next Level Conversations. Until next week, I love you guys and go be great. Bye. And we